What I'm about to share with you now has the potential to completely transform the way you understand your own existence. Perhaps, as you read these words, you'll realize that what you've always believed about reality is about to be questioned. What I'm about to share with you now has the potential to completely transform the way you understand your own existence. Perhaps, as you read these words, you'll realize that what you've always believed about reality is about to be questioned. Imagine for a moment that the world around you isn't something fixed, isn't a predetermined timeline of events, and definitely isn't waiting for you to discover its secrets. In fact, everything you see, or believe you see, exists in a state of pure possibility, waiting for your consciousness to recognize it in order to manifest. This concept goes beyond mystical philosophy. It has roots in cutting-edge quantum physics. Revolutionary experiments like the double-slit test revealed something that deeply challenged our understanding of reality. When subatomic particles moved without being observed, they behaved like waves, existing simultaneously in multiple possible states, in an infinite sea of probabilities. But the instant someone directed their attention to these particles, something extraordinary happened. The waves collapsed, becoming concrete particles with defined location and properties. The simple act of conscious observation fundamentally changed the very nature of reality. This discovery shows us a surprising truth. You are not a powerless spectator of life. You weren't placed here to follow a predetermined script, written by forces beyond your control. On the contrary, you are the conscious director of the quantum theater of existence. You possess the power to transform infinite possibilities into concrete experiences through the focus of your attention. However, many people don't understand how this actually works. This collapse from possibility to reality doesn't happen randomly or just by intensely wishing for something. It follows specific quantum principles that describe how consciousness interacts with the field of potentials. Studies in quantum physics laboratories show that the act of measuring, which is nothing more than an act of concentrated attention, doesn't just reveal what was already there. It actually determines what will become real from an infinite sea of possibilities. Now think about this applied to your daily life. At this very moment, countless versions of your future exist simultaneously in the quantum field. There's a timeline where you're achieving your greatest dreams, another where you remain stuck in the same patterns, and infinite variations between these two realities. The question isn't whether these possibilities exist. Quantum physics confirms they do. The question is which one you'll manifest through the consistent attention you dedicate to each aspect of your life. And this is where many people get lost. Most believe they're just objectively observing reality, but in truth, they're choosing which version of reality they'll experience. When you wake up and immediately review your worries, limitations, or reinforce the narrative of your current life, you're not just witnessing what is. You're consciously voting for that specific scenario to continue being your reality. Maybe you've already felt this intuitively. I remember one morning when, before even getting out of bed, I noticed my thinking was stuck on old fears and worries. It was in that moment I understood. I could right then change my focus, connect with universal intelligence, and direct my attention toward higher possibilities, more aligned with my desires and purpose. That small gesture, seemingly simple, initiated a sequence of quantum manifestations that changed my perception and experiences in the following days. Most of humanity lives under the illusion that their circumstances are fixed, unchangeable, as if the world were carved in stone. Every day, They repeat the same thought patterns, react to the same emotions, and remain trapped in familiar behavioral cycles. They continuously observe their current reality and, without realizing it, end up recreating the same experience indefinitely. It's not that they want this to happen. It's simply that they haven't yet discovered how to redirect their lens of perception. But imagine for a moment that you possessed this understanding. Imagine if you could stop looking at your life through filters of scarcity and limitations and start observing each instant with intentional attention, complete confidence, and a genuine sense of wonder. What if, instead of fixating on what's missing, you trained your perception to see unlimited possibilities? What if instead of reliving past frustrations, you tuned into the future that's calling you forward? This is the essence of the invitation to conscious creation of your reality, and it begins now, at this exact moment. Reality doesn't happen separately from you. It manifests directly through your active participation. The quantum field, this invisible matrix of vibrational energy that sustains all existence, pulses with infinite possibilities. It doesn't just respond to the words you say or the desires you formulate mentally. It responds to what you consistently observe with focused energy, genuine emotion, and coherent intention. The quantum field doesn't process your statements. It interprets the energetic signature of your consciousness. So, I leave you with an essential question. Where are you directing your conscious attention? Every moment of your life, your focus functions like a powerful spotlight, illuminating one possibility of reality while keeping others in the shadows. Are you directing that spotlight toward anxiety, doubts, and limitations? Or are you illuminating confidence, gratitude, and expansive vision? Let's look at a practical example to illustrate this. Imagine two people facing the same difficult situation. Let's say a sudden move to a new city that forces them to leave behind friends, routine, and stability. Person A views the event through the lens of scarcity, feels fear of the unknown, financial anxiety, and sadness over the loss of stability. Their thoughts and emotions reinforce a cycle of limitation. Person B, however, observes the same change with eyes of opportunity, feels curiosity about new experiences, enthusiasm for meeting different people, and imagines the growth paths this change might open. Both experience the same external situation, but perceive completely different realities. Person A is collapsing a timeline of struggle and restriction into their experience. Person B is collapsing a timeline of expansion and opportunities. And the quantum field responds to both with absolute precision, delivering experiences that correspond to the observational focus each one maintains. It's not about superficial positive thinking. It's about understanding that your observation literally determines which quantum possibility will become your lived reality. The field doesn't judge which observation is better or worse. It simply responds to what you maintain with consistency and emotional intensity. This is why some people seem to attract abundance and positive experiences almost naturally, while others, even when trying hard, face continuous difficulties. It's not a matter of worthiness or luck. It's about which timeline you're constantly observing and sustaining. Many people try to transform their circumstances by manipulating external factors. They change jobs, homes, relationships, but still feel trapped in the same patterns. True transformation, authentic reality change, happens when you revolutionize what you choose to consciously observe. Every time you emotionally engage with a specific thought, you're observing it and bringing it into existence. And this power isn't limited to big or dramatic events. It's present in day-to-day details. For example, I noticed this recently when deciding to start a new creative project. Initially, my attention was stuck on doubts and internal limitations, questioning whether I'd have enough resources or support. But by consciously redirecting my focus to what I could create, to the solutions that were available, and to the energy of quantum manifestation, I began to perceive opportunities opening in ways I never would have anticipated. Each email received, each inspiring conversation, each small victory became part of a natural flow, aligned with my new focus of attention. This is exactly what the quantum field does. It responds to the consistency of your gaze, the intensity of your emotional involvement, and the clarity of your intention. Understanding this, you realize you're not at the mercy of circumstances, but actively participating in creating your own experience. This understanding is liberating because it transforms the perception of powerlessness into a constant invitation to conscious expansion of life, connecting you to universal intelligence and the infinite possibilities that are always available, ready to manifest when your conscious attention directs them. Now I invite you to take a simple but powerful step toward your transformation. Close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and decree with all your attention and intention, I am open to the infinite possibilities of my life. Feel these words resonating within you, as if every cell in your body were aligned with your intention. Repeat whenever you can, and notice how your consciousness's focus begins to direct experiences that reflect this truth. Remember, the quantum field responds to the intensity of your gaze and the clarity of your intention. When you repeatedly focus on the failures, limitations, or problems in your life, you're actually feeding these patterns with your own vital energy, making them increasingly present and solid in your experience. Each negative thought, each recurring worry, functions as invisible fuel, giving shape to what you don't want. On the other hand, whenever you tune your attention to higher possibilities, even if they haven't yet manifested physically, you begin to attract these experiences closer to concrete reality. This is where the quantum process of collapsing potential into form begins. Something that isn't mere imagination or self-help fantasy, but measurable quantum science. Neuroscientists demonstrate that where you place your conscious attention determines where you direct your energy. And this energy functions as a true instruction manual for the quantum field. It's not your physical efforts, your struggles, or attempts to control external circumstances that generate real change. What creates transformation is your consciousness, your state of being, and the quality of your attention. This means you don't need to desperately struggle to achieve a transformed existence. You simply need to become the observer who perceives the new reality already in the process of formation. It's essential to develop confidence that reality isn't rigid. It's malleable, sensitive, and responds delicately to the quality of your focus. Everything around you is waiting to be perceived in order to manifest concretely. So, the question you should ask yourself is, what do I choose to perceive now? This is the starting point of a new way of living. No longer as someone who waits for external factors to change their life, but as someone who consciously decides, at every instant, how to interact with the field of possibilities as an attentive observer and intentional creator. This understanding may seem profound, but it's also liberating. Your consciousness goes far beyond the physical brain. It transcends limits of space, time, and circumstance. It functions as the invisible architect of reality, the silent intelligence that shapes form from the field of pure potential. The world you perceive externally isn't the source of your internal experience. It's actually a reflection of it. And this reflection process begins long before any physical action or event happens. Pioneer researchers like Joe Dispenza, physicist Amit Goswami, and thought leaders like Bob Proctor have dedicated decades to connecting quantum physics with spiritual understanding, showing that consciousness is the primary force and physical matter secondary. Amit Goswami clearly stated, "Consciousness is the foundation of reality, not the other way around." This revolutionary perspective completely changes conventional understanding about existence and transforms you from a passive observer into an empowered creator. But how does this work in practice? It means that your focused attention and deliberate intention begin to transform waves of possibility into concrete realities. What you observe with sustained consciousness materializes in the physical world. The quantum field around you remains neutral, but it's your consciousness that provides direction. Your attention provides structure, meaning, and form. In quantum mechanics, particles exist as probability waves until the moment of observation. In the realm of human creation, your attention functions as this observation mechanism. It doesn't require physical action, it requires conscious presence. It doesn't demand specific techniques, it demands internal coherence. It doesn't depend on external conditions, it depends on internal alignment and harmony. When your thoughts unite with positive feelings, when your emotions merge with clear intention, your consciousness leaves a detailed blueprint in the quantum field. This blueprint functions as a silent guide that begins to restructure your internal world and, over time, expresses itself externally in the form of concrete experiences. For example, when I began focusing my attention on creative projects that previously seemed impossible to me, I noticed small opportunities emerging unexpectedly. Contacts, ideas, and solutions flowing naturally. This is the power of quantum manifestation in action, your consciousness as an active agent, transforming possibilities into physical reality, connected to the universal intelligence that guides every detail of life. The key is realizing that everything you observe becomes the foundation for your future experience. Each thought and emotion you maintain with intensity functions as a magnet, directing the flow of your life. By aligning intention, attention, and emotion, you become a conscious creator of your own reality, capable of accessing potentialities that seemed distant and transforming the invisible into tangible experiences. Some people call this goal setting or manifestation practice. Others simply refer to it as quantum creation in action. But there's an essential aspect to this process that most manifestation teachings completely ignore. The quantum field doesn't just respond to your conscious intentions, it also responds to your unconscious patterns. In fact, unconscious programs often exert more influence over your reality than your conscious desires, precisely because they operate all the time, 24 hours a day, while your conscious attention is directed for only a few minutes daily. This is why many people can visualize abundance for 20 minutes every morning but still experience financial challenges. The conscious mind is observing prosperity, but the unconscious mind is constantly feeding signals of scarcity, lack of worthiness, and limitations during the other 23 hours and 40 minutes. The quantum field responds to the dominant signal, and most of the time, that signal is precisely the unconscious one. Understanding this completely changes how you relate to creating your reality. It's not enough to occasionally focus on what you want. You need to become aware of what you're unconsciously observing throughout the day. Those automatic thoughts, habitual emotional reactions, repetitive narratives that play in your mind, all of them are forms of observation that actively shape your experience. This is where the practice becomes more refined and powerful. You're not just learning to focus on what you want, you're learning to become aware of the unconscious patterns that have silently directed your life until now. This means developing the ability to catch yourself in the act of observing limitations and gently redirecting your attention to higher possibilities. It's in this space that ancient spiritual practices meet modern science. Researchers like Joe Dispenza document measurable changes in brainwave patterns, biological processes, and electromagnetic fields when individuals maintain coherent intention combined with genuine emotion. Bob Proctor emphasizes that it's not superficial thoughts that create reality, but the energetic force behind those thoughts. It's not verbally expressed desires, but the sustained state that supports them. Consciousness operates beyond personal limits. It's non-local by nature. This means your attention can influence realities even at a distance, and even before something manifests physically. You don't need physical proximity, you need conscious presence. You don't need external approval, you need unshakable inner certainty. This is the paradigm that transforms everything. The external world isn't the cause of your experience, it's the effect. Your consciousness is the foundation, the fertile soil, and the seed of creation. The quantum field provides the nourishing ground, and your observation is the delicate catalyst that allows potential to flourish into concrete reality. So, when you feel powerless or out of control, remember, you are far from helpless. You are an infinitely creative being, a conscious force shaping reality through the precision of your attention and the clarity of your internal state. This is an invitation to pause, breathe deeply, and bring awareness to your inner world, recognizing that consciousness isn't passive, but profoundly creative. The reality you experience isn't simply happening to you. It's emerging from your conscious participation. Imagine, for example, a moment when you face an unexpected challenge, like a job opportunity that requires skills you still feel you don't completely master. Instead of fixating on insecurity or fear of failure, you can redirect your attention to what you can learn, the connections you can strengthen, and the doors this experience might open. This is how quantum manifestation begins to align with your life. The field responds to your focused consciousness, your coherent intention, and the energy you direct. By continuously perceiving and adjusting unconscious patterns, you don't just observe a new reality, you actively co-create it. This is the moment to recognize your power. At every instant, you choose where to place your attention, which reality you'll nurture, and which possibilities you'll bring into existence. Your conscious participation is the key that connects you to universal intelligence, allowing the invisible to become visible, and potential to transform into concrete experience. Creation doesn't arise from struggle or constant effort. It begins with intentional focus in every moment of your life. Your existence is being shaped by what you consistently dedicate energy to, not by what you say you want, not by what you occasionally hope for or desire for a few moments, but by what you habitually observe, emotionally react to, and invest true attention in. Attention isn't neutral. It's magnetically powerful. Every moment you're conscious, you're calibrating your internal frequency. And this frequency sends subtle but precise instructions to the quantum field. Your attention functions as a more powerful instrument than physical effort, determination, or willpower. Why? Because energy follows consciousness. Wherever your attention is, your energy accumulates, intensifies, and begins to shape the quantum field into tangible form. This explains why repeated thoughts generate similar emotions, which trigger identical choices and maintain identical realities. It's not just metaphor, it's energetic physics in action. Your emotional focus determines the vibrational signature of your field. Your thoughts don't just describe your experience, they activate corresponding timelines and possibilities. When you maintain persistent attention on what's broken, absent, or causes pain, the quantum field responds faithfully, precisely reflecting what you're constantly sustaining, not with judgment, but with energetic correspondence. If you observe your current reality only as it is without realizing it, you're strengthening and perpetuating the same patterns. Your internal state of observation becomes the blueprint for what the universe will build next. For example, imagine you find yourself in a moment of professional uncertainty, focusing only on the difficulties and obstacles that arise. With each thought, each worry, you don't just feel anxiety, but activate a quantum pattern of limitation, bringing similar experiences that reinforce this view. It's the cycle of identical input generates identical output. However, when you consciously redirect your attention to fresh possibilities, aligned with your highest vision, and emotionally engage with this perspective, you begin to collapse an alternative version of reality. You stop reproducing old patterns and start resonating with future potentials. This is the secret that few practice with dedication. Stop observing only what exists and start observing what could exist, as if it already existed. This is how quantum transformation begins. You're not pretending or being delusional. You're intentionally focusing, becoming the observer of an elevated pattern until it stabilizes and manifests physically. Your old identity constantly wants to verify facts, confirm fears, revisit memories, and measure incremental progress. But your quantum self understands that the only authentic reality is what you emotionally stabilize within your consciousness. When you observe limitation, you amplify limitation. When you observe potential, you activate it. Here's the energetic transformation. Observation must become deliberate, and focus must become a sacred practice. You weren't placed here just to mechanically witness what already exists. You're here to observe the invisible becoming physical. Every time you offer your complete presence to what you want to experience, whether love, prosperity, harmony, or vitality, and embody the emotional state of already possessing it, your attention becomes the activation key. It's not about hope or superficial desires. It's about internal commitment, about sustaining and observing what the physical world hasn't yet reflected. This is the essence of quantum manifestation, transforming attention and intention into reality, aligning your energy with the power of universal intelligence that guides all possibilities. This is the essence of conscious creation mastery, choosing what to observe before it even becomes visible, sustaining the frequency of your desired timeline before any physical evidence appears. And this isn't delusion or illusion. It's how the quantum field responds to your observation, not to the current conditions or circumstances of your life. Here's a powerful truth. You don't need to eliminate all limiting thoughts. What matters is that you become more committed to focusing on your desires than on the familiar fears that have accompanied you until today. The quantum field doesn't require perfection. It responds to consistency. It needs alignment between what you choose to focus on and who you're becoming internally. Let's bring this to a practical aspect. What does this consistency actually mean? It's not about maintaining perfect thoughts every moment. That's impossible and unnecessary. It's about developing what quantum physicists call coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are aligned, working together in harmony instead of contradicting each other. Think of coherence like tuning a radio. When you're perfectly tuned to a station, the reception is clear and intense. If you're slightly off tune, interference and noise emerge. Your consciousness works the same way. When your conscious desires, emotional state, and unconscious beliefs are aligned, you achieve perfect coherence, and the quantum field responds quickly and precisely. When they're misaligned, you experience mixed results or no significant manifestation. Most people live in a state of incoherence without realizing it. They consciously desire love, but unconsciously believe they don't deserve it. They seek abundance, but emotionally vibrate with scarcity. They visualize success, but unconsciously expect failure. It's like trying to tune into a perfect station while the internal radio is misadjusted. Clear signals exist, but they're obscured by invisible interference. The secret lies in reconciling your conscious thoughts with your emotional state and unconscious beliefs. When this happens, you create a coherent energy flow that allows quantum manifestation to materialize consistently. Your attention stops being scattered or contradictory. It becomes a concentrated force that shapes reality with precision. For example, imagine you want to start a new creative project, but internally feel insecurity and fear of failure. Even if you visually imagine success, if your emotions and unconscious beliefs are misaligned, the project encounters obstacles that seem inevitable. Instead, by working on coherence, aligning intention, emotion, and beliefs, you transform your internal energy into a harmonious flow that attracts opportunities, solutions, and resources more naturally and fluidly. This is the real practice of conscious creation. It's not about ignoring reality or deceiving yourself, but about becoming the observer who sustains the frequency of what you want to experience, trusting that the quantum field will respond faithfully to the energy you emit. Every time you adjust your attention, emotions, and internal belief toward coherence, you exponentially increase your capacity to transform invisible possibilities into tangible experiences, connected to the universal intelligence that permeates all existence. The quantum field responds to the signals you send. When these signals are mixed, the results will also be mixed. You might notice small advances in some areas and setbacks in others, situations that seem sufficient to keep you hopeful, but never enough to generate real and lasting transformation. This is the natural effect of incoherence. Your scattered energy sends confusing instructions to the quantum field. To achieve consistent results, it's necessary to develop what I call quantum self-awareness. This is the ability to observe not just your conscious thoughts, but the entire spectrum of your internal experience. This includes your subtle emotional states, unconscious beliefs, energetic frequency, and the quality of attention itself. When you reach this level of perception, you can align all aspects of your consciousness toward a single desired outcome, creating internal coherence that manifests externally. The proposal is both simple and revolutionary. Start monitoring your focus as if it were a sacred navigation system. Interrupt the impulse to observe what you don't want. Withdraw your attention from internal stories that generate suffering, doubts, or anxiety. And with compassion, practice, and dedication, direct your consciousness to where your intuition and essence are guiding. Because everything you observe with genuine love and full attention inevitably begins to manifest. You're not here just to passively watch life's events. Your conscious presence is the force that shapes reality. Many people believe they're waiting for some external change, a job promotion, an ideal relationship, health improvement, or an unexpected opportunity. But at the quantum level, nothing moves until you observe it in motion. Nothing materializes until your consciousness instructs the field to respond. This is the decisive moment when your identity stops passively reacting to reality and begins collapsing possibilities into concrete experiences. You're not just a spectator of this cosmic movie. You are the director, the focus of light, the screenwriter, and the screen simultaneously. Every time you place attention on something with emotional involvement, you're assigning meaning in the quantum field. You're not just perceiving, but transforming waves of potential into particles of real experience. This is why certain patterns seem to repeat infinitely. Whenever you observe a situation or behavior, you're feeding that pattern with concentrated attention, and the universe, infinitely responsive, reflects the same pattern back. It's not cosmic punishment. It's the precise mechanics of the quantum field in action. Each automatic reaction, each repetitive thought, each insistent emotion is a signal you send to the field, instructing it about which reality should solidify. But there's a great opportunity here. You can consciously choose where you place your attention. Instead of feeding old and limiting patterns, you can train your mind and emotions to tune into elevated possibilities, to focus on what you want to become real. Imagine that each thought and feeling is a beam of light directed at a future version of your life. The more consistent and clear this beam, the faster and sharper the materialization of this possibility. When you understand this dynamic, you realize you don't need to fight against reality or force external changes. Real power lies in becoming the conscious and coherent observer, in tuning all levels of your being to what you want to experience. It's this constant practice of deliberate attention that allows quantum manifestation to operate with precision and universal intelligence to respond to your energetic frequency directly. Each conscious moment is an opportunity to choose. Will you continue reinforcing old patterns, or will you begin collapsing new possibilities into tangible reality? This decision isn't theoretical, it's practical, daily, and transformative. Each intentional focus, each aligned emotion, and each recognized belief acts as a precise instruction to the quantum field, shaping the world around you coherently and meaningfully. The quantum field doesn't deliver what you deserve. It delivers what you constantly reinforce through your observation, emotion, and identity. This is why you're so powerful, and also why so many people continue perpetuating cycles they no longer want, even without realizing it. But there's a transformative turning point. When you begin observing a new narrative before it even exists physically, you begin integrating fresh possibilities into your reality. Not because you forced or controlled something, but because your sustained focus, clarity, and emotional coherence are so consistent that the universe simply responds. This is the essence of quantum collapse. Potential transforms into presence through your conscious participation. When you truly understand the magnitude of power contained in your observation, you stop delegating your transformation to external forces. Instead of thinking, when life brings me peace, then I'll be able to feel peaceful, you begin affirming, when I observe peace within myself, life responds by reflecting that peace back. Visualize two parallel realities. In one, you still traverse old emotional patterns, confirm your limitations, and catalog everything that didn't work. In the other, you're already the version of yourself that is liberated, joyful, abundant, and loved. Both coexist simultaneously in the quantum field, but only the one you observe with depth and unwavering devotion materializes physically. This is what it really means to act as if. It's not pretending or self-deception, it's choosing to observe what isn't yet visible until it manifests. You become the agent of quantum collapse when you stop reacting and begin consciously deciding. When you analyze your current situation and say, this isn't the complete picture, I choose to observe something greater. You assume creative authority over the quantum field. As you persist in this approach, the distance between your internal vision and external reality diminishes. What was once imagined begins to become tangible because you observed it as truth before there was any physical evidence. Here's your opportunity. Start observing your future self as if it were already present. Feel the energetic signature of this version. Visualize how it acts, how it communicates, how it expresses itself. Hold this image in your heart as if it were your current reflection. In a universe governed by observation, the most magnetic action you can perform is to clearly perceive what isn't yet visible and become that vision. At some point, subtly but profoundly, you realize the universe isn't testing your worthiness, punishing your mistakes, or withholding blessings. It simply responds to your energetic signal. The quantum field doesn't judge what you want, doesn't evaluate your past, karmic debts, or declared goals. It reads only one thing: your vibrational frequency. And this frequency is reflected faithfully and precisely, always. This is why life often seems contradictory. Your conscious mind asks for one experience, while your energetic vibration sends another. You can visualize financial abundance while vibrating with scarcity. You can affirm love while carrying fears of rejection. You can desire freedom while remaining emotionally attached to control or doubt. The field doesn't argue or analyze. It faithfully reflects what you energetically embody. It's not personal. It's pure vibrational mechanics. This is the fundamental transformation in understanding manifestation. It's not about convincing the universe to fulfill your desires, but about calibrating your energy to match the version of you that already possesses what you want. This version of you already exists in the field of possibilities, but you can't access it while your frequency contradicts its essence. The quantum field cannot deliver experiences of peace if you maintain chaotic vibrations. It cannot offer feelings of worthiness if you're immersed in self-judgment or doubt. It's not a matter of deserving, it's vibrational alignment. So, what's the solution? Stop focusing on manipulating external results and start cultivating your internal state. Practice observing your thoughts without judgment. Tune into your baseline emotional frequency. not just occasional feelings, but the emotional state you maintain when no one is watching. It's this frequency that establishes the foundation of your reality. By taking responsibility for your internal energy, everything transforms. You evolve from a victim consciousness to a creator consciousness. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What vibration am I emitting that's attracting this experience?" And not in a critical or guilty way, but with awareness and empowerment, recognizing that you are the conscious agent shaping your life. The quantum field functions like a mirror of your life. However, most people continue trying to change the reflected image without altering what they're showing to the mirror. They seek to increase income without working on their scarcity beliefs. Look for true love without becoming someone who truly feels loved, or try to transform the external world without ever examining their own internal world. The result? The field continues responding according to what you actually emit. Here's your activation moment. Ask yourself right now, what am I consistently observing? What emotional patterns am I repeating? What vibrational frequency am I living from? And I'm not just talking about during meditation, but throughout your entire day. This practice doesn't seek perfection, it seeks consistency. It's about repeatedly choosing to return to the frequency of who you want to become until that frequency becomes natural and eventually manifests in your reality. Let's do an exercise I call reality audit. Observe your typical day and ask yourself, how much of my attention is focused on problems versus possibilities? When you wake up, do you first observe your worries or your vision of the future? During daily commutes, do you revisit past conversations or imagine future successes? When preparing for sleep, do you focus on what went wrong or appreciate what went right? This audit isn't meant to judge, but to bring awareness to where your attention habitually goes. Many people are surprised to discover that 80 to 90% of what they observe daily is focused on what they don't want, what doesn't work, or what they fear might happen. And then they wonder why their life doesn't change. Here's the fascinating point. The moment you become aware of these patterns, they lose their automatic power over you. Awareness, by itself, is a quantum tool. When you notice you're observing limitations, you stop unconsciously feeding them. A space of choice emerges, a point of freedom. In this space, you can ask yourself a powerful quantum question. If I knew that what I observe with consistent attention and emotion becomes reality, what would I choose to focus on now? This simple question has the potential to redirect your entire life because it reminds you that you're not a victim of circumstances, but a conscious creator of them. By understanding the neutrality of the quantum field, you reclaim your complete personal power. The field doesn't judge, therefore it also doesn't limit. There are no external barriers preventing your progress, only internal energetic agreements, which can be renegotiated immediately. This perception completely transforms how you face challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this showing me about my observation patterns?" Each experience becomes feedback about your consciousness, not proof of external forces acting against you. Allow me to share a profound realization that changes everything. When you understand that what's in front of you is just a reflection of what you maintain internally, every situation stops being a problem and becomes an invitation to expand your consciousness. You begin to realize that life doesn't need to be controlled with effort or resistance. but observed and directed with clear intention. Each conscious moment, each choice of attention, each decision to align with greater possibilities is an opportunity to shape your reality extraordinarily. And the most incredible part, this practice doesn't require perfect external conditions. It only requires that you become aware, present, and intentional about what you're observing, regardless of what the world around you is showing. This is the true power of conscious creation. The universe isn't testing you to see if you're worthy of your dreams. It doesn't withhold what you want to teach a lesson or punish. It simply reflects faithfully the sum of your conscious and unconscious observations. Every moment, therefore, is an opportunity to redirect your life's trajectory by consciously choosing what to observe. Think about how this applies to relationships. If you constantly perceive people as untrustworthy, selfish, or incapable, the quantum field will continue reflecting experiences that confirm this view. But if you begin observing people as fundamentally good, capable of growth, and deserving of love, you'll begin attracting experiences that correspond to this new perception. Even the people around you might begin acting differently, because you're tuning into higher aspects of their nature through your vibrational frequency. This principle applies to all areas of life: health, finances, career, creativity. Your body, your money, and your opportunities respond to how you observe them. This isn't magical thinking. It's quantum manifestation applied to daily life. With each breath, each belief, each moment of conscious presence, you're voting in the quantum field, declaring, "This is my identity." And universal intelligence responds, "Your desire is reflected." Let this be your transformation. You don't need to earn your ideal life through effort or merit. You simply need to align your vibrational frequency with the reality you desire. It's necessary to transmit it consistently, with the emotional authenticity of someone who already embodies that reality. This is the power of the present moment, the chance to stop reacting and start radiating, to stop pleading and start transmitting, to stop explaining and start living in coherence with what you desire. The field is always listening and responding. Within you exists a space that remains unshakable before appearances and unchanged by circumstances. It's the aspect that simply observes, without panic, projection, or mental noise. It's the silent core of your consciousness, the frequency of the silent observer, and it contains more power than any physical effort, willpower, or external action you've ever tried. By accessing this part of yourself, you begin to realize that true transformation doesn't come from manipulating results or controlling events, but from maintaining your attention focused and aligned with your highest vision. The silent observer doesn't force anything. It doesn't chase results, doesn't attach to goals, nor resist what happens in the present moment. It understands something deeper. Reality reorganizes not through noise, pressure, or struggle, but through quietude, through full and conscious presence. It's this inner calm that allows the quantum field, which contains all possibilities, to respond to your frequency coherently. Each thought, each emotion, each choice of attention becomes a vibrational command, directing infinite waves of potential toward a concrete outcome. In the quantum field, everything exists as potential, a wave of infinite possibilities. But this wave doesn't manifest through effort, tension, or insistence. It materializes when you observe with crystal clarity, with conscious presence and unshakable certainty, when every aspect of your mind and emotion is aligned with what you desire. The more you remain in this state of internal coherence, the faster and more precise the collapse of possibility into reality becomes. And the more you realize that creating isn't about fighting against life, but about harmonizing your attention and energy with what already exists in potential. Each moment you practice this conscious observation, you strengthen the frequency of your highest self. You become the central point of attraction for everything you desire, without compulsive effort, without anxiety, only with the firm and silent presence that reflects what is already in tune with your true essence. This is the power of the silent observer, an internal force that transforms each act of perception into conscious creation, allowing life to reorganize naturally, elegantly, and precisely, respecting the perfection of the present moment while you collapse possibilities into reality with clarity and confidence. Before we conclude, I want you to do something profound and transformative right now. In the quantum field, word is action, and intention is manifestation. So, in the comments below, write with all your presence and truth. I connect to my highest frequency now. Don't overthink, don't analyze, don't force anything. Just write and feel every cell in your body vibrate in tune with this conscious commitment. Observe the energy that expands, the clarity that emerges, and the sensation of creative power that's born when aligning your consciousness with your highest version. Each word you emit in this moment acts as a quantum magnet, summoning the manifestation of what you've chosen to observe and live. Many people still observe their current life with resistance, focusing on fears and problems more than on future possibilities. They try to change reality but continue giving attention to what they don't want, reinforcing old patterns. The quantum field doesn't evaluate intention or effort. It simply responds to the gaze you maintain consistently. Therefore, true power isn't in the words you speak, but in the vibrational frequency from which you perceive the world. Each thought, each emotion, and each conscious attention sends a signal that organizes the possibilities around you, aligning reality with what you're vibrating internally. When you tune into the field as a silent observer, detached from panic, freed from judgment, and anchored in firm faith, you become magnetically attractive. Things that previously needed to be sought or forced begin moving toward you naturally. Not through effort or haste, but because you've removed internal noise and filled your space with pure being and conscious presence. Strength comes from alignment, coherence, and constant attention. The more you observe clearly, centered, and reliably, the more reality organizes itself to reflect this vibrational signature. And attention. This isn't passivity. It's actually one of the most active and transformative disciplines you can cultivate. Witnessing your life without falling into the illusion that what you see represents the final result is a powerful act. Each moment of conscious observation, each choice of where to place your attention, each intention aligned with your highest state, collapses the infinite possibilities of the quantum field into tangible experiences. This process transforms life profoundly, creating lasting changes aligned with your true essence. When you practice this presence consistently, you begin to realize that creation doesn't depend on effort, force, or external control. It depends on clarity, coherence, and fidelity to the frequency you sustain. Each instant you choose to observe with awareness, without being carried away by fear, anxiety, or judgments, strengthens your capacity to manifest the reality that resonates with your highest self. Thus, your life stops being a reflection of old patterns and becomes a living expression of what you truly want to experience, transforming potential into reality powerfully and naturally. Maintaining space for what you want to emerge, even when there are no visible signs yet, is the key to operating at the level of the silent observer. Remaining centered while everything around changes means trusting that you're already aligned with what is rightfully yours, even if external circumstances don't yet reflect this. The silent observer isn't disconnected from the world. On the contrary, they're deeply connected, but without the haste, anxiety, or effort that distort vibrational frequency. They maintain an elevated perspective, seeing each event unfold while remaining firm in the certainty that nothing becomes fixed until it's perceived with conscious attention and inner recognition. In this state of elevated frequency, you realize that reality isn't an external force to be controlled or manipulated. It's actually a direct reflection of your own consciousness. The more silent, coherent, and secure your attention becomes, the more precise and crystalline this reflection becomes. Each thought, each emotion, and each moment of aligned presence acts as an instrument that organizes the quantum field around you, allowing previously invisible possibilities to begin becoming tangible. This is the power of the conscious observer. They don't need to force, they don't need to pressure. Their simple presence, clear and centered, alters how life manifests. To live from this elevated state, begin cultivating pure presence. Train your body, mind, and emotions to feel safe even in the face of uncertainty and the unknown. Release the habit of constantly analyzing everything around you, freeing the need to control every outcome. Observe your thoughts like passing clouds, allowing them to come and go without attachment or reaction. Breathe deeply and consciously, slow your pace, and repeatedly return to the part of you that simply observes with clarity. Each return to centered attention strengthens your connection with the vibrational frequency of what you want to manifest, creating natural alignment between your consciousness and the reality you want to experience. In this state, creation flows effortlessly. You are no longer reacting to world events or external expectations. You are allowing your conscious awareness to guide manifestation. Each moment of solid presence sends a signal to the quantum field, reinforcing the frequency of what you want to see become real. External distractions, old patterns, and limiting thoughts may arise, but each time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, you restore internal coherence and confirm that you are the one leading the creation process. The quantum field responds to this clear and coherent presence, reorganizing reality around you according to the vibrational signature you maintain with consistency. Breathe, observe, remain steady. Each instant you practice this conscious attention strengthens your manifestation power, allowing the invisible to become visible, potential to materialize, and your reality to naturally align with your highest frequency. This is the state of the true silent observer, an internal space of calm, certainty, and coherence from which all creation originates. From this pure observation, creation begins to flow naturally. The world will continue offering distractions, old habits will emerge, and ancient patterns will try to reclaim your attention. Your ego may whisper that you're not doing enough, that you need to struggle more or control every detail. But each time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, something profound happens. You restore perfect alignment within yourself, rediscover your center, and recognize that true power lies in your ability to simply observe with conscious presence and vibrational coherence. It is in this state that you send clear signals to the quantum field, reminding it of who is truly conducting this dance and allowing life to reorganize itself to reflect your unique energetic signature. This is authentic power. You don't need to manipulate outcomes. You don't need to strain. You don't need to act from anxiety or desperation. All that's necessary is to observe with heart, with full presence, with firm faith and confidence in your ability to generate change. The more you practice this stance, the more you free yourself from the illusion of separation between you and what you desire, and the more you perceive yourself as part of the quantum field itself, as the creative force that organizes potential into reality. This perception transforms every experience into opportunity, every moment into possibility, and every conscious action into creation. When you deeply understand that your consciousness is the central agent of collapsing possibilities into reality, the wave of potential manifests. The illusion of struggle and resistance dissolves, allowing the miracle to reveal itself. This is the moment to release the need for external validation, for proof or guarantees that things are moving. You begin to become the presence that naturally attracts what you desire, becoming the magnet for opportunities, experiences, and achievements that are already in harmony with your frequency. Free yourself from compulsive effort and embody the frequency of your highest state. It's not just about visualizing the life you dream of, but observing from the internal space that knows, with absolute certainty, that this life already exists now. Each conscious breath, each moment of directed attention, each choice to observe with presence, contributes to strengthening this reality. By remaining in this state, you become a force of attraction, coherent and constant, that allows experiences and possibilities to manifest naturally, elegantly, and inevitably. This is the final invitation. Live as the silent observer, without anxiety, without pressure, but with absolute clarity, allowing your presence to be the bridge between potential and manifestation. In doing so, you don't just observe the life you desire, you become the very field that creates this life, and reality begins to move in sync with your elevated energy, bringing miracles and achievements with fluidity and authenticity. The silent observer doesn't create by chance. He creates through coherence, clear intention, and conscious presence. Each choice of attention, each moment of deliberate observation, acts as a thread that weaves reality. He chooses what to watch and, with continuous attention, sees this vision come to life, becoming increasingly concrete and tangible. Allow this to be your signal of transformation, a profound adjustment in how you interact with the world, an activation of the Creator that has always existed within you. This is an invitation to assume your active role in constructing reality, instead of passively reacting to events around you. Understanding the observer effect is just the first step. Most people continue struggling because they remain trapped in the old identity, which constantly pulls them back to familiar and limiting patterns. Repetitive thought patterns, emotional habits, and old stories about who you are keep you within predictable cycles. But when you learn to release these outdated versions of yourself, you allow a new reality to emerge effortlessly, fluid, and natural. This is the link that accelerates everything that has been discussed. By stopping reinforcing the old self, you open space for new possibilities, releasing energy that was previously stagnant and allowing life to reflect the highest version of yourself. Now, each moment becomes a conscious opportunity to create, to act with presence, clarity, and internal coherence. It's not just about imagining or wishing for external changes, but aligning your energy and perception with the frequency of the reality you truly want to live. Each thought, each choice of focus, each conscious emotion sends a signal to the quantum field, causing possibilities that correspond to your highest frequency to manifest increasingly tangibly. By practicing this repeatedly, you learn to continuously attune yourself to your greatest version, becoming the active agent of your own creation, moving with confidence, certainty, and inner alignment. This is the moment to reconnect with the creator you have always been, to recognize that reality reflects your attention, and to fully assume responsibility for the world you want to experience. By sustaining this coherence, you stop merely observing passively and begin actively participating in manifestation, creating from the inside out, from a space of silent, firm, and infinitely effective power. Each conscious action and each instant of presence reinforce this transformation, establishing a new foundation for your life that resonates with your highest frequency and with the unlimited potential that exists within you. Thank you for sharing your time and your journey with Quantum Labs. Welcome to your true energetic frequency. Welcome to your true reality.